Why are games getting this expensive?
Well, maybe if you weren't so bad at keeping money, you wouldn't be contemplating this much.
Now look here! I'm not playing these games, okay? You're not about to tell me these prices are okay.
Well, they can't be that bad.
Look! Tell me if this seems any reasonable to you.
What the? $80? Is that for the deluxe edition? That's just for the game. Holy! Wait a second, this is the new Mario Kart! Have you been alive for the past couple of months? Actually, no. You see how infrequent my upload schedule has been. You're right. You've been staring blankly at the wall at the times you don't work. Anyways, that's not important. I'm pretty fed up with all these price raises for video games, and I'm sure other people have as well. You know, you are right though. $80 is ridiculous, and I even spent $100 on Sparking Zero just to get a mediocre game. Actually, you spent less than that since we live in Japan now. Oh yeah. Whatever the case, I just want to vent a little.
From the dawn of video games, they have been arguably expensive. Before Nintendo consoles, Atari was the main thing people have been playing with. Those games were sold for about $30. Now I can hear you saying that that wasn't much. And yeah, it wasn't, but it actually was. You see, that $30 is about $130 in today's money. I don't even know how our economy has come to this. Anyways, the NES was the next big thing after that, and the prices started to become the prices we're used to seeing, somewhere around $30 to $50. After that, games stayed around that range, becoming $60 later on, and now $70. And then Nintendo did the unthinkable, making their first game on their newest console $80, which brings us to today's argument of whether video games are too expensive now or not. Now to start things off, I want to make something clear. There have been games that have been sold at $100, but I want to mainly focus on the general pricing for games. As you may know, AAA games are being sold at $70. As to what even caused this, I can't even give you a clear answer. This price started to occur during the start of the PS5's time. The common reason given as to why the pricing became this way is most likely going to be because development became a lot more heavier. In a sense, that's true. But what I find odd is the timing of all this. As I said, games went from the $50 range to the $60 range later on. It became that much around 2005. That was when the 6th generation of consoles started. And as you can see, the jump from the PlayStation 2 to 3 graphics were pretty different. However, I digress, because if we're using that argument, then someone tell me why the price increase didn't happen from the SNES to the N64 era, or the PS1 to the PS2 era. I don't want to make a conspiracy here, but I will anyway. It's true that development can be the reason why they got more expensive, but at the same time, I think it actually is because the industry got a lot more popular compared to before. So with more customers, you can easily get more money out of a more expensive game, especially since you know they will cave in and buy it regardless of price. That, or games really do cost an arm and a leg to make nowadays. Now what even sparked everyone to complain about game prices all of a sudden? They weren't this vocal when games were $70 for the last couple of years. Well, it all comes to Mario Kart World's pricing being $80, which was a shock when people first found out. It felt like the internet was going crazy during that time, and everyone ended up worrying for the future for game prices. I'll tell you though, I've been worried the moment games became $70. After Mario Kart World was released at that price, many developers and game companies, out of nowhere, decided to raise their game prices. At first, Nintendo made a statement saying the game is that expensive because of how much went into development. And on one hand, yeah, this game was in development for over 10 years, skipping an entire console because of that. So tell me why Xbox thought it was a good idea to raise every price of their 5-year console. It wasn't even just them. PlayStation did literally the same thing before them, but maybe not on an absurd level like them. Although these aren't video game prices, they still have something to do with them. Now, believe it or not, PlayStation's price increase only happened for the US for some political reasons I won't get into. But Xbox did not have any reason to do what they did. They even raised their Game Pass prices, which caused so many people to decide that maybe they should start buying games rather than subscribing to a subscription for them. So on one hand, we had a semi-reasonable reason to make games more expensive. Believe me, I still think $80 is too much for a game, especially for a game like that of all things. Don't worry, Eebworld will review the game sooner than you think and give an in-depth explanation there. On the other hand, greed and politics in certain countries is what caused the video game world to become more expensive. As a result of all these seemingly sudden price increases, people have become more afraid of the future for video games. Video games are getting closer and closer to that $100 price range, and it seems as if that will happen sooner than we'd think. Apparently GTA 6 will be that much, and that kind of already proves the fact that that will happen sooner than we think. And this isn't even including stuff like special editions for games. Believe me, if you ask someone is Sparking Zero worth $100+, do you think they would honestly say yes? Games can put as much content as they want in them, or as little in them, and the price would be however much the publisher wants it to be. The other day, the Switch 2 sales report came out, and how much do you think Mario Kart World sold? 9 million copies. The game many people wanted to boycott for being too expensive. The game that Sonic CrossWorlds is supposed to be better than. The game that many people, in quotations, have problems with. Sold almost as much as the Wii U's lifetimes in 1 quarter, no less. The truth is, games can become super expensive and people will still buy them. Price has almost nothing to do with the success of a game. Some can argue Mario Kart World has less content in it compared to Mario Kart 8, a game that including the DLC would cost about $80. Oh. Forget I said that. Anyways, from here on, it seems that games will progressively get more expensive with about every 2 generations, and even if people say they won't accept it, it's not like less people are buying games nowadays. Believe it or not, depending on the country, games are actually going to be more or less expensive. Most people who are vocal about this price increase are mainly from the US. But did you know, Mario Kart World in Japan costs around $60. In the Middle East, where we used to live, it costs really close to $90. In other words, the US is right in the middle with these price stuff. And by the way, yes, the price did increase from what it would have been in the past. You can make the argument that the currency difference is what causes it to be this way, but no. As I just said, the price increased as well in those countries, so it's a universal thing. Each country just has a different way of valuing these games depending on export and what it would cost in the market. But unfortunately, in the timeline that we're living in, there will be no way for games to become cheaper. This is actually just an economy thing rather than a game thing. With more people existing in the world, more things become more precious, and unfortunately, for whatever reason, games are included in that list. More manpower is being used to make these games, which means that companies would have to pay for more equipment and softwares for the employees to make the games possible. So in general, unless some drastic thing happens, game prices will stay getting more expensive.
Well, at least game prices are cheaper here in Japan. But we're not in Japan. What do you mean we're not? Huh? What the? Where are we? Well, you vented for so long that we went to a different country. I'm getting some deja vu here. Anyways, what country exactly? The US? The US? That was the worst possible place to go to. I know. There's no easy access to anime and Japanese shows. The manga here is all in English, and it just doesn't feel the same here. No, that's not why at all. This place is way more expensive. Oh yeah, well there's that too. Of all places, why did you choose here? Relax, we'll be back in Japan soon. I guess the takeaway from all this is, the US sucks.